Au-delà des nuages, des vents qui grondent, sur terre, dans le ciel, le pouls du monde, info qui tourne et qui résonne, le doc news capte chaque onde, les nuages dansent le bas.
Please, General, show everyone what you think this is. This scene appeared in Fujian, and of course, many netizens have captured it on their phones. We first noticed an unidentified flying object. According to eyewitnesses, it initially appeared as a dot and then spread out into a geometric pattern. At first, people thought it was a drone, but then the number of flying objects increased and the shape suddenly turned into a circle, leading many to doubt that it was a drone.
The image you see here beside it, many netizens also eagerly commented online that it amazingly looked like the famous 7 stars aligning, magnificently breaking through the clouds, and astonishingly it lasted for about an entire minute.
I believe it's a UFO fleet. Why do I say this? Don't doubt it. The US military said it themselves. They've declassified a lot of information proving and finding many unidentified flying objects in the sky. Even American pilots have seen many of them, but at the time it was all sealed. After all, the world is vast, and the universe is even more boundless. It's hard to say what can happen, but it's possible there are technologically advanced beings that surpass us, beings that are more advanced than Earth. But watching this film, it's clear to me that it's definitely not a drone. Why? Because just look at the cloud layers. The brightness of a drone wouldn't be this intense. No matter how bright a drone is, it wouldn't reach this level. The brightness shining through the clouds, showing it's above the cloud layer, and still being that bright is impressive. Especially when we observe there, from the witnesses' observations, it changes speed quickly. Unlike airplanes which follow a certain flight path, these objects change rapidly. So I think it's likely that this is the UFU fleet, with many U-5s appearing simultaneously over Jiangzhou. It's something worth investigating for, as this world is big and the universe vast, far beyond what Taiwan or our small Earth can comprehend.
Moreover, the US has previously observed numerous unidentified flying objects in the sky, which they also couldn't explain, so we can only suggest it might be aliens visiting.
Of course, people have reported this footage, but the authorities haven't responded yet. Let's return to discussing the South China Sea disputes. Since the beginning of 2025, a lot has happened there. In January, the US and the Philippines conducted joint sea operations involving the USS Carl Vinson and 2 missile destroyers. Even Rubio called the Philippine foreign minister out of nowhere, trying to drag mainland China into the issues, claiming it
Dangerous actions in the South China Sea do not comply with international law. Shortly thereafter, in February, the United States joined forces with Japan, Australia, and the Philippines.
engaged in more challenging military activities, and the accusation of spying has been made because the Philippines accuse certain Chinese individuals, particularly identifying them as potential threats. And the possibility of having spies. The Philippines National Bureau of Investigation chief said these spies used drones to monitor the Filipino naval and air force bases, and also said the information would fall into enemy hands, putting military personnel at risk. But from the mainland China's side, after 20 days of silence, they directly presented evidence to tell you that there is simply no such thing. The identity of the spy accused by the Philippines is claimed by the Philippines to be an electronic technology expert from Chinese military academies. Actually, we are far apart. May I ask the general's view on this?
Actually, this exercise, everyone thinks it's related to the Philippines, but in my analysis, it's unrelated to the Philippines. Why? First, let's talk about our exercise this time and where America conducted its exercise. It's not in the South China Sea. Previously, they supported the Philippines and always exercised in the South China Sea region. But this time, the exercise location is in the Philippine Sea. Where is the Philippine Sea? It's on the east side of the Philippines, including our Taiwan Strait and the Pacific Ocean area off Taitung, which is also called the Philippine Sea. So the exercise area is there. People shouldn't just see the word Philippines and start clapping and cheering for Marcos, thinking the exercise area is around the Philippines. It's actually not near its territory, but on the right side of the Philippine island, not in the South China Sea. Secondly, we see that although the participating countries are very large, the US used the USS Carl Vinson, France sent the Charles de Gaulle carrier, and another country is Japan, which brought in the JS Kaga amphibious assault ship. The Kaga just went to the US for an upgrade last year and came back. Prior to last year, the deck material couldn't withstand the high temperature of the exhaust from the F-35B vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. So, as we mentioned earlier, if you don't have the right material, you simply can't withstand such high temperatures. So he specifically went to the US to have it modified so it can take off and land F-35s. This time, it was included in the strategy, but did he include anyone else? He didn't include the Philippines. So I think little Marcos should be careful. Such a large joint military exercise, right? And you're excluded. However, did the US try to appease the Philippines? Yes. We saw about a week ago, the US came and talked to the Philippines about a joint military exercise. How long? One day. They sent 2 planes. Long-range bombers such as the FB-1 flew all the way from the US mainland to reach the Philippines for collaboration efforts in military exercises. 3 Filipino F-50 trainer jets flew around Scarborough Shoal in the air and then returned to the US. So the total time they made overhead, I believe, is only about a dozen minutes. Compared to a formal operation, you see how small scale it was. I think it's important for the Philippines to note that with Trump's election, will the attitude of support for you change or not? During Biden's era, they were so supportive, and with formal exercises, I actually think the US might not take the Philippines seriously, but I particularly want to emphasize that formal exercises represent something specific for South Korea. The United States, Japan, and France are 3 countries located in different regions. One is in America, one is in Asia, and another one is in Europe. Additionally, in terms of these regions, the second point is that these 3 countries share a commonality. They are all maritime powers. Japan is a maritime power, France is also a maritime power, albeit alongside the UK, and undeniably, the United States is inherently a maritime power as well. This time, 2 electronic reconnaissance ships are monitoring them. One belongs to the People's Liberation Army, and the other is Russian. So, it is clear that China and Russia are represented here. Eurasia, being a landmass that includes parts of Asia and Europe, is a continental power. Clearly, maritime powers are trying to contain continental powers in this geopolitical game. So, I feel this time around, the Philippines needs to step up a bit. After Trump, will the US continue to support you so strongly? If they are going to support you, at least send a small boat, right? Send a small fishing boat over to participate or put your name on it, but they didn't even let you do that.
They didn't even let you put your name on it. This shows that America intends